a large recall of Boar's Head deli products after an outbreak of listeria. We'll show you which meats are affected. A man arrested for a drug deal that turned deadly. And now a popular Raleigh nightclub facing stiff punishment for its link to the crime.
I'll take you inside one of the most unique ways to watch the Olympic opening ceremony and show you why one fan says it's emotional for him to watch the games.
I'm tracking who could see spotty showers and storms with possible flooding this evening. And finally, some relief from rain and humidity just in time for your weekend.
Right now at 7 o'clock, let's take a look at the radar. Still some showers in our northern counties this evening, and new flood advisories just issued for Durham, Orange, Granville, and Person counties. Once this clears out later tonight, some relief from all of this rain and humidity is on the way. Thanks for being with us on this Friday night. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. Behind us, a live shot at Durham. You can see some of the rain is falling. I don't know if you can catch it, but it's kind of falling on the roof there to the left. Fortunately, though, things are going to be changing here for the weekend. But, Mike, we went from almost record drought conditions to record rain. It's really been a big back and forth.
Yeah, we're up to 9.11 inches of rain out of the Raleigh-Durham International Airport. The all-time record's over 12 inches, and I don't think we're going to hit that. So there's what's going on at the DBAP. They're in a rain delay. The tarps on the field, the rain they've been watching for the past couple hours up in the northern part of the county has settled on in. And there's the flood advisory for parts of Durham County, Orange County, Person County, Granville County until 8:30. And there's another flood advisory here in Warren County and Halifax County. That's till 8 o'clock. All this rain is settling to the south, and we'll watch to see if it eventually makes its way to the Raleigh area. A little closer look at time lapse. Rain moving through downtown Durham on the doorstep of Chapel Hill and Carborough, south of Hillsborough. That's sliding to the west and to the southwest. And here's an even broader view showing the activity moving across our northern counties and even more to the southeast across the coast that's moving offshore. Futurecast shows this activity lingering around till 2 a.m. Lots of cloud cover as well. But eventually our cold front will move on by, and by daybreak we should wake up to a little bit of cloud cover. We'll see clearing in the afternoon and a whole lot less humid weather. I'll outline that coming up in less than 15 minutes.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Popular deli meats are being linked to a listeria outbreak. Dozens of people have become sick, including 2 in North Carolina. 2 people have died. WRAL's Carly Haynes joining us now live outside of a Raleigh Harris Teeter. I know, Carly, you have been asking grocery chains what they are doing about this.
And we actually just saw Harris Teeter starting to reopen their deli counters after they closed them for part of the day. That happened to Harris Teeters around the state out of an abundance of caution. But I want to show you what we saw when we walked in that store a little bit earlier today. A sign telling people the counter was closed and would reopen a little bit later. The USDA has recommended retailers clean all of their surfaces and get rid of any of the recalled products that they may have on hand. According to the recall list, it includes a lot of Boar's Head deli slice turkey, liverwurst, and ham. Publix also removing potentially contaminated meats from their shelves. We reached out to Food Lion as well. They're telling us they were not affected as they don't carry any of those recalled items on their shelves. But the USDA says as far as what you can do, if you have any of the recalled items in your fridge, don't eat them, throw them out, or you can return them to the store to get a refund. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And this is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center. Some breaking news in the past little while. The FBI has confirmed that a bullet struck former President Donald Trump's ear. This is the statement from the FBI saying that what struck former President Trump in the ear was a bullet, whether whole or fragmented into smaller pieces, fired from the deceased subject's rifle. The evening of the attempted assassination, the former president wrote on social media that it was a bullet. But earlier this week, FBI Director Christopher Wray, while testifying, said that there was some question as to whether it was a bullet or shrapnel.
Still remarkable how close that was to tragedy. Yeah. Brian, thank you. A 9-year-old boy at the center of an Amber Alert is safe, and his mother is in jail facing charges. Police say Gian King Pariette was abducted just after 6 last night from a home on South Benjamin Street by his mother, Mariah King. The two were found this afternoon in the 2200 block of South Roxborough Street. King is charged now with abduction of children and 2 probation-related felonies. Her bond is set at $70,000.
A man is in jail accused of selling drugs to someone at a Raleigh nightclub who later died from an overdose. Luis Baez Roman is charged with trafficking drugs, among other things. New documents show the drug that led to the victim's death was likely heroin. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan explains how an undercover investigation led to these charges.
This drug deal that turned deadly is actually the second instance to which Club Insomnia has been linked to a fatal crime. A man was killed at the club last year, and twice this year the club has had to pay fines to the ABC Commission for violating alcohol sales laws. A sign on the front door of Club Insomnia on Fenton Street in Raleigh says no weapons or drugs. But these new search warrants allege drugs were sold inside the club last week that led to a fatal overdose. And this man, 30-year-old Luis Baez Roman, a known drug dealer, according to the ALE, who spearheaded the investigation, is believed to have been the dealer. Warrants state after the overdose death. The next day, the ALE reached out to the owner of Insomnia. She said she wouldn't have any footage because her cameras erase after 24 hours. Raleigh police provided the ALE agent with a phone number of who they thought could be the dealer. On July 17th, the agent texted the number asking to purchase $60 worth of heroin. The person responded saying he was dropping his girlfriend at work and would meet the agent in Raleigh. ALE agents then met with Baez Roman, who they arrested on multiple drug charges. This is what they found inside his car: hash, meth, and heroin in small packets, and cocaine. I've reached out to Club Insomnia about this case, but have not yet heard back. Baez Romes is currently in the Wake County Jail under a $345,000 bond. In Raleigh, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
Pfizer is telling state officials that it plans now to lay off more than 200 workers in our area. The global drug maker is ceasing certain operations in Sanford and Rocky Mount weeks after a failed clinical trial. Pfizer filed a notice with the State Department of Commerce this week. It was made public today. Some of the closures in our area have already begun.
The Olympic Games in Paris are officially underway after more than 200 delegations floated down the River Seine and the Olympic torch was officially lit. This is a live look from Paris, where it is already Saturday morning. WRAL's Brett Neese caught up with some fans who watched the opening ceremony at Marble's IMAX Theater.
This theater was full of Team USA fans and fans of the Olympic Games, taking in a larger-than-life view of the opening ceremony. There truly wasn't a bad seat in the house, but the wait to see Team USA's boat travel down the River Seine was longer than some were hoping, because the American boat was towards the end. As is tradition at the opening ceremony, the current and next host nations are at the back of the procession. It's the first time an opening ceremony was not inside a massive stadium.
I think the uniqueness of going down the river and the River Seine and just, it's so different, it's so creative and out of the box, and I don't know who's going to be able to top that.
It's going to be hard to top a viewing experience like the one inside this theater. Now the focus, though, shifts to the actual competition. Now, Marble's Museum will have plenty of Olympic-themed events through the end of August. In Raleigh, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
Still ahead, it is Friday. We're closing out the week, and we're going into the mailbag to answer some of your in-depth questions. We're talking Project 2025, Donald Trump, those UNC fraternity brothers famous for holding up the American flag during protests on the university's campus. All of that and your emails next. Here we are, folks. What a week. Whew. We've been working toward the weekend. What better way to spend our time together than to go through the in-depth mailbag? Let's start with a little post-credit scene from our Project 2025 trilogy. Sydney says, "You are just a Republican shill." John asked, "Is the Democratic Party paying for you to cover this?" Whew. Those are some tough emails, and there were a lot just like them. But listen, no offense taken. I'm a big boy. I got thick skin. By the way, if both sides are upset, maybe I'm doing something right. Think of it that way. Marianne gets it, though. She wrote, "Thank you for being objective and fair to both Republicans and Democrats in all of your reporting. It's refreshing." And I got to admit, that feels better. That one feels a little better, Marianne. Thank you. Moving on. Leanne had an interesting question. She says, "Is there a Project 2025 for Democrats?" Well, we talked a lot about think tanks in our Project 2025 series, and these are those groups of connected, influential people using privately funded research to lobby lawmakers and to sway policy policy with that lobbying, and they exist on both sides of the aisle, of course. There are tons of them. The Center for American Progress is one of the big left-leaning think tanks. Their board of directors includes former Senator Tom Daschle, Democratic donor, Donald Sussman, and Julian Castro, who served in President Obama's cabinet and once actually ran for president himself. The CAP doesn't have a big central document like Project 2025 does, but they have a bunch of little ones. They talk about climate change and abortion rights, affirmative action, and a lot of other topics that you might find in a Democrat's platform, which brings us to the 2024 Democratic Party platform. The DNC released a draft earlier this month, and it says things like scale up solar, wind, and geothermal projects, eliminate unfair oil and gas subsidies, universal background checks, bans on assault weapons, and supporting long-term undocumented individuals, including Dreamers. It's all right there on their website. You should check it out. Chris had a question about President Trump and his felony conviction. He wrote, if Trump is a felon, does that mean that he can't even vote in the election? Well, let's see. Trump is registered to vote in Florida, a state that bans felons from casting a ballot. However, the case and the crime happened in New York. Florida defers to their rules, and under their rules, only felons who are in jail can't vote. So, unless the judge puts Trump behind bars in September, he'll be casting a ballot most likely for himself. We did find some things that Trump can't do as a convicted felon in New York. He can't sit on a federal or state grand jury, so no jury duty. Doesn't really seem like a punishment. He can't enlist in the armed forces, but pretty sure Fort Liberty isn't recruiting 78-year-olds. He can't own a gun, shout out Hunter Biden, and that's pretty much it. Here's a deep cut from back in May, which feels like a lifetime ago. You remember when those UNC fraternity brothers held up the American flag during protests on the Chapel Hill campus? I got a lot of emails from all sides on this one. Mike wrote, why would a GoFundMe be focused on throwing a rager? I am sure the frat boys in their neon-colored Vineyard Vines polo shirts, tank tops, brightly colored shorts, Vineyard Vines hats, and Sperry's could afford to throw their own rager. Michael said, read the GoFundMe. It was obviously satire. Well, satire and fashion choices aside, these fraternity guys did get a lot of attention. They were invited to the RNC. They carried the flag through the convention to a cheering crowd. No tank tops, no neon-colored polos there. They could have been wearing Sperry's. I don't know. I didn't get a good enough look. But it wasn't just the RNC. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave the boys a shout-out this week during a speech to Congress.
And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag against these anti-Israel protesters.
We are still going through the inbox. Lots of messages in there. More mailbag segments to come and more in-depth to come. But we can't do it without you. We say this every time. Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. This is a segment about you and the things you want to see on the news. So let's talk about it. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.
Lots of engagement there, Dan.
Sure
Let's get things over to the weather forecast now for your weekend. And look at this picture, Mike. This is a live shot from the WRAL Tall Tower camera of southeast Wake County. You can see the sun rays just coming through the clouds there. It looks actually kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
We're getting, let's say, some refreshing weather this weekend.
Yeah, once the cold front moves by later tonight, tomorrow, and especially Sunday should feel pretty good. We wipe away a lot of the humidity, and you'll notice a change. Dew points fall back into the 60s. But before we get to that, we've got some rain to deal with, and flood advisory still for Durham and parts of Orange County, Chapel Hill, starting to get some rain, as well as Carrboro, southern Granville County. If you're watching from the Creedmoor area, this is descending into your neighborhood. Northern Wake County will soon get it around Bayleaf and Falls Lake, over toward northern Franklin County, Warren County, Halifax County, northern Ashe County. Looks like Rocky Mount, Wilson Airport and Rocky Mount itself will be getting some rain shortly, and this should come to an end this evening. Rain probabilities 40% through 9 o'clock, 30% 10 and 11, 20% through 1 a.m. And then after that, we should see partly cloudy skies and wake up to a little bit of cloud cover in the morning. Take a look at what's going on. The Durham Bulls still have the tarp on the field. The rain is pushing away. They'll get the game underway shortly, I believe. The Gardens look pretty good. Lots of green there. We see clouds over North Hills, and Apex has partly to mostly cloudy skies. Been a warm afternoon, 85 out at RDU, but much warmer tomorrow. Well, not much, but about 87. We'll go from dew points in the 70s to earlier this afternoon was 80-degree dew point in Clinton. We'll go to low to mid 60s for dew points tomorrow. Should feel pretty good. Now, all that dry air is up across the Ohio Valley right now. Notice the northerly movement of the streamlines. That dry air gets in here tomorrow. And dew points to the north are in the 50s. We're not going to have 50-degree dew points here tomorrow. They'll be in the 60s, but it will be a noticeable change. And you can see that on the Muggy meter. Pretty tolerable for Saturday, Sunday, even Monday. But by Tuesday and Wednesday, we start to move back to that steamy and tropical feel. The reason being we have an upper level trough that shifts back into the area. That will help create lift in the atmosphere. That'll stick around for Tuesday and Wednesday with scattered showers and storms being likely. And we're going to be on the lookout for the potential for some localized flooding both of those days, especially Wednesday. Wednesday looks wetter than Tuesday at this point. So early showers, storms overnight should be partly cloudy, upper 60s to low 70s for the lows. And then tomorrow should be a really nice day. Some cloud cover in the morning, but that should break up to a mostly sunny afternoon. Our high temperature here in Raleigh about 87, 89 Fayetteville, 88 at South Hill, 87 at Roxborough. Tomorrow would be a good day to mow the grass because I'm sure your lawn, if you don't have a lawn service cutting it for you and you have to do it yourself, probably have a nice task at hand because it probably was pretty high. Your 7-day forecast, 3 days of dry weather. Monday is partly to mostly cloudy, 88. Tuesday and Wednesday feature scattered showers and storms, 60% on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, lesser chance for rain. Right now, just about a 30% chance. But notice how the heat is on the rise. 93 on Thursday, 95 on Friday. At this point, we are in the month of August.
So we enjoy the relief while we get it.
Yes.
Thanks, Mike.
Perfect. Let's talk to Chris Lee. What's going on in sports?
Yeah, we're about a month away from college football beginning, and Mac Brown is already stealing the headlines. After the break, Brown calls out ACC coaches, including former Duke coach Mike Elko. Here was got fans talking all online next in sports.
And then Coach Elko said, I'll be at Duke longer than Mac will be at Carolina. And, well, I called him when he went out to A&M and said, okay, you lied. He said, well, I didn't think I was going to. I said, yeah, I got it.
Wow, Mac Brown is feeling a little frisky. Our Pat Welter asked Brown about his legacy and how long he'd like to coach, and that's one of the viral clips that's coming out of it, calling out former Duke head coach Mike Elko, who's now at Texas A&M. Brown is 72 years old and essentially says he's not slowing down anytime soon. Here's the longer clip of Coach Brown calling out Elko and other coaches while talking about his tenure at UNC.
Every coach recruiting against us says I'm going to quit, and 6 of them have been fired that said that already. So they ought to be worried more about themselves. And then Coach Elko said, I'll be at Duke longer than Mac will be at Carolina. And, well, I called him when he went out to A&M and said, okay, you lied. He said, well, I didn't think I was going to. I said, yeah, I got it. I hear all that. And then the second thing they ask is how much NIL money do I get? So that's my new recruiting visits when I have. But I'm lucky. I'm healthy. I've got lots of energy. I'm having so much fun. And how many people get to change kids' lives every day of their life?
Tomorrow will conclude the very first week of training camp for the Carolina Panthers, and it'll be a special time. The Panthers will be holding a practice at Clemson's Memorial Stadium down in South Carolina tomorrow morning. It's called Back Together Saturday. Open practice begins at 9:30 in the morning down at Clemson. Some NC Courage players are currently in Paris readying for the Olympics, but the show doesn't stop for the rest. The Courage are on the road taking on Racing Louisville tonight at 8 o'clock. We'll see how they do. We'll have highlights tonight at 10 and 11 o'clock.
All right, very good. Exciting stuff. Chris, thank you so much. WRAL's weekend morning news will soon be available to watch in more places for you.
Starting tomorrow, our morning news will also air on Fox 50 from 6 a.m. until 8 a.m. every weekend. You can also watch us on WRAL+. This weekend, our WRAL broadcast will be preempted by Olympic programming. It is such an exciting time with the Olympics here. I just absolutely loved this spectacular show of the opening ceremony.
Little Celine Dion kicking things off.
I shouldn't have
brought it up.
She was incredible. I've watched it twice already. Let's get you a live look from Paris, where the Olympic Games are officially underway. If you missed the opening ceremony, you can watch it right here on WRAL next. The Eiffel Tower, a spectacle of its own throughout the 4-hour Olympic ceremony. The laser beams, the lights, even through the rain. It was magical.
And, you know, Paris is the city of romance, of course. But one thing that's very romantic about the Games is that it's been 100 years since the last Games in Paris.
Oh, really?
They
I
had
didn't know that.
They had the Summer Games in 1924. I remember that little flex here because my great-grandfather was on the U.S. Olympic team
What was the sport?
He was a U.S. Olympic boxer.
Really?
Yeah, so he was in the 1924 Paris Games.
What have you learned about that?
Hugh Haggerty. Well, he lost to a Canadian fighter who ended up winning the bronze.
You know, the Canadians, they're tough ones.
That's what I hear. Well, thank you so much for joining us here. As this is your spot for the Olympic Games. We have a lot more coverage coming up. Of course, we know how passionate the people at home are about the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. By the way, if you missed the opening ceremony, that is going to be beginning in less than 5 minutes. There's going to be another broadcast of it right here on WRAL, so please do stay tuned for that. Then tomorrow, Dan, I know you are eager to watch some of the games, so we've got a lot going on. Thank you so much for joining us here and making WRAL your choice for local news.
Have a great night and weekend.